The following program may contain subject matter and language suitable for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
And welcome back to another exciting edition of the Meltdown. My name is Norm.
My name is Jeff.
And today we're talking about a subject that really gets my goat. And like I've always said, Jeff, and you've heard me say this before, even recently, if you don't want someone to get your goat, don't let them know where your goat is.
No, just keep your goats hidden in the backyard, roaming free, but away from people who might steal your goat.
Right, and make sure you cover it with a tarp so that nobody knows it's a goat. But today we're talking about polygamy. And like Jeff always says, polygamy. Polygamy you. And you, and you, and you, and you. You see what I did there? It's kind of a multiple thing.
I don't think I've ever said that before, but thank you for giving me credit.
Well, you never know, the day is young. But first, let's open the show with a few paragraphs from this article from Psychology Today. So titled, Monogamy is Not Natural for Human Beings. Given the fact that 80% of early human societies were polygamous, why did later populations become largely monogamous? Science has no answer to that, apparently, although there are theories, as you might expect. One of them has to do with the two-parent advantage to monogamy in caring for the young. Strangely enough, some creatures in this world can do without the care of any parents at all. Newly hatched baby turtles find their own way to the sea long after Mama Turtle has laid her eggs in the sand and departed. Conversely, human babies are completely helpless at birth and need parental care for years afterward. Ergo, in the case of Homo sapiens, two parents are better than one. Obviously, the benefits of monogamy are not limited to the two-parent child care advantage. I could suggest one or two more, perhaps not within the purview of an evolutionary biologist. Knowing that you always have a date for Saturday night can be a comfort. So can a shoulder to cry on when you really need one. So I guess it's fair to say, Jeff, that, not being judgy, but being realistic, that we have people who live in this world that prefer to be monogamous, and then you've got other people that prefer to be polyamorous. And I guess if everybody's on board, right, if there's no secrets, it's okay.
Yeah, well,
live your life.
Yeah, consenting adults, no secrets, as you say. If you're being deceptive, I think that's wrong. But if everything's out in the open, so to speak, then who am I to judge as well? You know what I mean? I'm not judging, so there you go.
Yeah. All right, so with that, let's go to some Meltdown fun facts. All right, so today we're going to be focusing on the FLDS, or the Fundamentalist Latter-day Saints. So these are the people, in Utah, and in Bountiful, BC, who are into, polyamorous living and communal polyamorous living. So here are 12 things you didn't know about polygamy. And of course, as I said, we're focusing on the FLDS. Number 1, until recently, they weren't homeowners. The majority FLDS members used to live in homes that were owned by a trust managed by the polygamist community known as the United Effort Plan. In 2005, the homes became the property of government officials. According to dailymail.co.uk, about 24 families are now receiving deeds to their homes, a first for a community where nearly all the houses have belonged to sect leaders since 1942. Now, of course, you know that Warren Jeffs was the big leader, the head honcho, the big prophet of the Utah communes.
Right.
So when we refer to Warren Jeffs, that's who we're talking about. Here we go. Some of the FLDS leaders have had more wives than you can imagine. Taking over after his father's death in 2002, FLDS leader Warren Jeffs has over 70 wives. Apparently, the more wives you have, the closer to the highest levels of heaven you can get, or something along those lines. Although we're not sure how that's working out for wives, seeing as how they only get to marry one dude, what's even more unusual is that they all live together, meaning that they either have a massive home or eat in shifts. According to Reuters.com, one founder, Joseph Smith, married at least 24 women, with his successor, Brigham Young, taking approximately 20 brides. Now, here's something you probably already knew, or at least knew in part. Sources of entertainment are a no-no. Feeling that it was too distracting to the faith, Warren Jeffs decided that certain forms of entertainment were off limits. Things like television and the internet were obviously vetoed right away, with birthday and Christmas celebrations being nixed as well. According to ABC News, other forms of entertainment that were thrown to the wind included dogs, toys, camping, and fishing. An unbelievable fact that has been confirmed by former FLDS members Joe Broadbent and his sister Sabrina. Jeffs believed that eliminating these things from everyday life was for the better of the community. I'm not so sure how that's possible. What it sounds more to me like what Warren Jeffs really felt was the more controlling he could be, the better for himself.
Yes, exactly. It seems to be like I will tell you what to do and tell you what not to do, and I'm in complete control, and I am God. So it's almost like that's what he's saying, and
pretty much
it seems like a complete control.
All right, here's an interesting one. Red is on the outs. According to an article published by NBC News in 2008, female members of the FLDS polygamous group are prohibited from wearing the color red. The first reason, because it's too sensual. The second, apparently Christ will be wearing the luscious hue when he returns to earth to claim his 10,000 followers. We're pretty sure that Jeff is laughing at that rule, though. He was pulled over in a red sports car when the FBI caught up with him in 2006.
I'm sensing some hypocrisy here.
You think?
Yeah.
Maybe just a little. Maybe a little hypocrisy, just a bit. Polygamists are not to be confused with Mormons. According to the former president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Gordon B. Hinckley, this church has nothing whatever to do with those practicing polygamy. If any of our members are found to be practicing plural marriage, they are excommunicated, the most serious penalty the church can impose. Not only are those so involved in direct violation of the civil law, they are in violation of the law of this church. So, a very important distinction there. Here's another one. Alcohol and coffee are okay for FLDS followers, but not necessarily for more traditional followers of the Mormon faith. Well, we thought that maybe these indulgences might have been thrown out the window when leader Warren Jeffs decided that entertainment was no good for anyone. Apparently, coffee and alcohol are okay things in the FLDS faith, according to the Salt Lake City Tribune. Compounds even have bars and coffee shops on site, which is considerably progressive of the faith. According to the Huffington Post, the confusion lies in the fact that Mormon founder Joseph Smith originally barred the consumption of alcohol, tobacco, and hot drinks. Today, while drinking alcohol is not accepted by the Mormon faith, caffeine is acceptable. So there you go. And I'm not sure. On one show we talked about Sody Pop and saying that Sody Pop wasn't acceptable, and I don't know if that's true about Sody Pop. I love saying Sody Pop, Jeff. It's from a cartoon.
Yeah.
Sody Pop. What cartoon is it from?
Dr. Jekyll's Hyde. That's what it's called. I just thought of it now.
Dr. Jekyll's Hyde.
Dr.
Okay.
Jekyll's Hyde. Sody Pop.
There you go. Yeah. I knew
Good
Jeff would know.
All
right, here's another one. FLDS polygamists believe that Warren Jeffs is president. According to ABC News, leader Jeffs ordered FLDS families to pull their children out of school and homeschool them, using additional techniques from FLDS leaders, including Jeffs himself, who was once a school teacher. The reasoning? Jeffs did not want the children to learn anything that could negatively influence them. Even better, former FLDS members confirmed that young children are taught that Jeffs is the actual president of the USA.
Wow.
So, I mean, I mean, I was going to say it doesn't get more twisted than that, but it does. That's how fucked up this is. Wow. All right, moving on here. Canadian polygamists benefit big when it comes to the Canadian child care benefit. Bountiful, BC resident Winston Blackmore is the 58-year-old fundamentalist leader of a polygamous community in Canada. According to Canadian publication The National Post, he is also the father of 133 children under the age of 18, making him eligible for a $43,160 paycheck from the Canadian government, which provides a monthly taxable amount, currently totaling $160 per child, to families with children under the age of 18. Blackmore, who is currently awaiting trial on polygamy charges, has approximately 24 wives, the mother of his bounty of children. I don't know what else to say. Okay, so moving on. Ankles are too sexy to show off. Just like in the olden days, ankles are off limits, which is why the women of the FLDS stay covered up all the time, from head to toe. Neck, arms, legs, and ankles are all considered to be too sexy for public exposure, causing unnecessary problems in the community, jealousy, lust, etc. It probably makes for some pretty sweaty summers, which is probably why the ladies tend to stick to the pioneer-style pastel-hue dresses. According to NBC News, a polygamy expert, John Llewellyn, says the women cover themselves so that they're unattractive to the outside world or other men. Now, it's interesting because, men, I would think, male of our species, right, especially when they're young or, late teens or early adulthood, certain things are going to happen, right? Certain urges prevail, and sometimes you could be wearing a burlap sack and it still doesn't matter. Just saying.
Yeah. Just imagine what's under the burlap sack.
Yeah, exactly. Leave it to the imagination. I think that's actually, because some of our imaginations are pretty damn good. All right, 3 more to go here. Haircuts are off limits. Females of the FLDS don't cut their hair ever. The reasoning behind this one: according to ABC News, women cover their bodies from neck to ankles because their bodies are considered sacred temples that can't be exposed. They also never cut their hair because, according to their teachings, they will need it in heaven to wash men's feet as an anointing. Again, though, you'll notice it's all male-driven, right? Like, this is all about men. Women mean nothing in these situations, which is really unfortunate. How they allow themselves to live that way, I don't know. Here we go. Having sex isn't for fun. Due to the rape charges that Jeffs was named an accomplice on and the similar charges that he wasn't convicted of, some are calling bull on this one. Apparently, the FLDS only have sex to procreate, so if your wife is knocked up, you're supposed to steer clear, as there isn't any point on getting it on. From prison, Jeffs attempted to pass a new rule. Married couples are no longer supposed to touch or get it on. Instead, they are supposed to choose from a lot of 15 trusted that Jeffs has decided on. To me, that just says, again, more control. Yeah. He just wants control. I will tell you what to do, when to do, who to do it to, and why. All right, here we go. 1 wife won't cut it. 3 wives seems to be the minimum in the FLDS faith. While it isn't written in stone, less than 3 ladies just won't get you to where you want to be in heaven. The founder of Mormonism, Joseph Smith, established this rule way back in the 1800s. The FLDS members not only call for this minimum, but also depend on the prophet to arrange their marriages. He also grants your entrance into heaven. According to Canadian newspaper The Vancouver Sun, the FLDS argues that the prohibition of polygamy does infringe their religious rights, since they believe that men require multiple wives to reach the highest heavenly realm.
I don't have much to say except that it's wrong. I mean, it's really, I'm not going to get philosophical here or whatever. It's wrong.
All right, so let's go now to a Meltdown Minute with Lou.
This show, Norm and Jeff were talking about polygamy. To clear some things up, polygamy, in fact, is not the name of the world's worst board game, or best, depending on what floats your boat, I suppose. And the derivation, the breakdown of the word polygamy is very interesting to me. Poly, meaning many. Gamy, from the Greek, or from the Italian, a gimme, meaning marry. So literally, marry many times. And here's what I find interesting about polygamy. It's never a woman. It's never a woman whose bright idea it is to go, I would like 12 husbands, because she knows that if she is married or has a boyfriend, that motherfucker's a lot of work on his own. You know what I'm saying? It's always the guy who's like, I would like 27 wives and some camels, and I want to live on a compound, and then I'll write a manifesto. Dude, you're on your way to forming a cult, all right? You need to pull back on the Koresh a little bit. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you, Lou. And now for some Meltdown Stupidness. So what we have for you are 13 stupid facts about Warren Jeffs and the FLDS Polygamist Church. I'll be reading some text, but I'm going to show you a graphic, and we're going to see the graphics here on our monitor. Let's go to number 1. Jeffs was in the top 10 most wanted. Before he went to prison, likely for life, he was on the run and was in the FBI's top 10 most wanted fugitives. It wasn't until a police officer was doing a routine traffic stop that he was captured and put away. That's always the case.
Yeah, the routine traffic stop.
They are what lead to most of the drug busts, most of the arrests, finding people with warrants, whatever. It's the routine traffic stops that do it. Okay, let's go to number 2. He owes $16 million to a child bride. Warren Jeffs was ordered by the court to pay $16 million to a woman who was 14 when she was forced by Jeffs to marry her own cousin, who was 19. And the only word I can use to describe that is disgusting.
Yeah.
Let's go to number 3. Heavenly sessions and temples. These temples have different purposes. One of these is known as a consummation temple that is used for newly married couples on their wedding night. Pretty creepy considering. But even worse is what Warren Jeffs calls heavenly sessions. During these sessions, Warren Jeffs would record himself being pleased by his newest wives. He told the women that if they did not do exactly as he said, that God would reject them and not allow them entrance into heaven. Isn't that nice?
Yeah. Again, I'm just completely speechless by all of this because it's just disgusting, as you said.
Yeah,
it's wrong.
It's pretty disgusting.
What more is to be said? I mean, it's just...
It gets worse.
Well, okay.
Let's go to number...
That's not good, but anyways.
Yeah. Let's go to the next one. No love from mommy. Oddly enough, in the FLDS Church, it is not okay for a mother to hug and kiss their children. However, a father can victimize his own, obviously. The reason for this is that the FLDS believes that the only person who should make the children feel loved or valued is the head of the household. That would be the father. So, once again, women, I think the only reason they exist is to pop out children, and other than that, they are absolutely useless. All right, let's move on. He likes them young. In total, it is said that Warren Jeffs has been involved with over 550 women by the age of 50, the year he went to prison. Nearly 70 of those were underage, the youngest being 12. To make things more sickening, he had inappropriate relations with both his sister and his daughter. Both his niece and nephew reported that he had victimized them as children as well.
Man.
Okay.
You're right, it is getting worse.
Yeah. As we move forward, homosexuality is equal to murder and black people are evil. That's a nasty mouthful, but it's seen as the gospel in the FLDS Church. Warren himself says that claiming to be gay is just as bad as murdering your own family. On the same distasteful note, he says that all black people are evil demons who want to destroy humans. It sounds over the top ridiculous, but that is what he teaches the entire community.
So he's not only sexist, he's also a bigot.
I think every description that you could find that would label someone a complete piece of shit would fit this guy.
Yeah.
All right. And here's another one, unfortunately. The husbands get to choose if the wives go to heaven. For a woman in the FLDS Church, the only way to make it to heaven is through your husband. He gets to invite you to join him in the afterlife. If he doesn't invite you, then you don't get to go. The husband wants as many wives as he can get on earth because the more he has, the bigger his kingdom. And let's just swap the word kingdom for ego. But anyway, I mean, not that I know. I wouldn't know. All right. He's breeding a new race. The church claims that Jeffs is planning on breeding a new superior race of people that will one day take over the world. He believes they are perfect and even assigns certain women to men of what he calls a royal and pure bloodline. And here's something that's not surprising because, I figure every cult who says they're not a cult knows they're a cult. And they know that someday they're going to get found out and they have to have a means of escape. So this one, they have tunnels. We weren't supposed to know about this, but just in case of a raid, there are tunnels underneath the FLDS community where the members were supposed to hide in case of an invasion. What kind of invasion? Word is a government invasion. It was an evacuation route in case the church was found out and prosecuted. Moving on. Blood atonement. You know the age-old belief that you can pay for your sins through bloodshed? Well, the FLDS still believes this is legit. What's worse is they believe you can pay for the sins of others through their bloodshed. If you see a brother sin, then you can literally stab them in the back and they won't have to pay for their sins in heaven. So, violence is encouraged too.
Yeah.
Wow. Where do I sign up? Now this, again, this is disgusting. 70% are underage. Nearly 70% of the FLDS church is under the age of 18, and mostly women at that. That's because the women get married so young and have as many children as possible. In fact, making love is non-existent because the only purpose, the physical expression of love, is to have children and please the man. For this reason, pregnant women are not allowed to sleep with their husbands. Nothing in this faith is geared toward women. It's a place where men reign supreme and women are treated like dirt. They exile young boys. Young adult men that are exiled are called lost boys. Now, lost boys is a term used for men who have been excommunicated or pressured to leave polygamous Mormon fundamentalist groups such as the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or the FLDS, as we've been talking about. They are alleged to be pressured to leave by adult men to reduce competition for wives within such sects, usually when they are between the ages of 13 and 21. It is said that somewhere between 400 and 1,000 young men have been excommunicated from the church for these reasons. Now, this last one I hadn't heard about. It makes complete sense, and again, it's very, very sad. They have their own downs. Since the women of the FLDS get married so young and are often closely related to their spouses and children, the church has its own genetic disorder. This disorder is a form of Down syndrome. This type of Downs is exclusive to polygamous groups due to the interrelations that occur. The FLDS church even has its own graveyard for stillborn children that were affected by this. What do you say? What can you say about this? If this doesn't piss you off, if this doesn't make you angry, what could? What could? The fact that this actually exists. Now, thank God Warren Jeffs is in prison. I don't know if that makes a difference because you know how these people operate. Yeah. I mean, he probably still rules even though he's behind bars.
Well, it's just wrong. I keep repeating myself, but
Anyway, let's put all of this shit behind us and let's talk about next week. Next week, we're going to take a little drive in some autos. What am I trying to say? We're going to be talking about self-driving cars, pros and cons. Is it a good thing? I mean, technology is cool when a car can drive itself, but is that necessarily a good thing? Is it something you'd want to do? Would you I don't know. Let's wait till next week, and then we'll talk about it. Until then, I'm Norm.
And I'm Jeff.
And this has been The Meltdown. Bye-bye.
Bye.